was this one time I was, hanging out around the cartoon haunted house. There was a bunch of SpongeBob and Jimmy Neutron and, just all kind of things inside there. And I'm, at this point, I'm in costume, really scary looking, really scary looking and stuff. But I was sitting in a corner, just minding my own business in this cartoon haunted house, at the middle of a nighttime weekend when, I didn't think any little children were going to walk in and explore this nice, not scary haunted house. Well, one comes around the corner, not expecting a big, giant 6'2" clown to be standing there with white contacts and looking like a demon, a very scary, muscular demon. But this kid definitely saw me, turned around, ran into the wall, and fell over. I think I peed myself that night.
I love scaring in those haunted houses there. Like, we have the freedom as line walkers to just kind of roam wherever we want, and one of my favorite places, especially when it's freezing cold, is to go into these little haunted houses that aren't supposed to, like, technically they're not supposed to have any scares in there, and most of the general public knows that, so they go in just expecting, like, oh, let's go see the house of mirrors and 3D pictures and stuff, and then they run into somebody in there. So one of my favorite things to do is inside that clown haunted house, which is right next to the one Mike was just talking about, is towards the end of it, I hide in this inflatable pillow thing, kind of like what we were talking about earlier in the circus, and I pop out as soon as somebody comes around the corner. I pop out of it, and a lot of times it'll be a huge group and they see me and they just take off and run full speed backwards, so they go back to the beginning all the way through this haunted house, but they don't know about this secret door that cuts off like in between sections of it. So what I'll do is I'll chase them down this hallway, they'll turn a corner, and then I'll take this secret door, cut them off, and then they turn another corner and I'm right in front of them again, and it's really, really funny. So I love doing that. They freak out. Sorry, we have a baby crying right now, so we're just going to keep it going, and you're just going to hear it in the background a little bit, but he should be quiet soon. He probably just wants some more milk.
Yeah, we're doing this podcast in the basement of an old nursery. I mean, not old, but, still occurring.
So what about you, Eric? Any favorite stories where...
I would say that haunted house is probably it's a pretty fun place to scare people, because no matter if they pay their money to get into that haunted house and you scare the crap out of them, they will take that chicken exit every single time, even if they're at their beginning. But yeah, just you get them on that first hallway, there's a chicken exit, they'll go right out. Top floor, people will start running down them stairs because they're so scared. Mm-hmm. And there's usually someone right at the middle stairwell, and just get that scared, then you'll see them fly into a wall, and then they'll go out that chicken exit at the bottom of the stairs. But
yeah, that haunted house is fun. I actually really like scaring it before it gets dark, because nobody expects any scares to be out yet, because we don't start until dark. But little do they know, I come out before it's dark and I start scaring early. So I've gotten some really great scares hiding behind this gate, and these people come, there's like a courtyard inside this haunted house, and people walk out and they're like, oh yeah, this is great. I pop around the corner and get some really great scares. It's pretty hilarious. Super fun.
Watch out, kids, day or night, Andy's on the street.
You never know what time. One of the best scares I got last year was actually accidental. So I went into the Pumpkin Cafe, and there was these people waiting in line to buy food, and there was these girls that were up at the counter. And a lot of times I'll like to sneak up on people that are paying, because they definitely don't expect me to be right behind them. So I snuck up right behind. I put my head like right next to this girl's face, and she turned and she screamed so loud, and all the employees inside the Pumpkin Cafe totally jumped. I felt super bad, but it was really great because it was an accidental. So if you worked in the Pumpkin Cafe and I scared you last year, sorry, but kind of not sorry, because it was funny.
But there's also those people that get super defensive when they get scared, and they hit you. So, yeah.
Yeah, those are the fun ones.
I remember I usually get hit about once a year, maybe 2 times. But I remember last year I was scaring in the Sinister Circus, and I was hiding in the dark, and a guy came around. I scared the crap out of him, and he just punched me right in the chest. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, don't scare me again. I'm like, well, you're here to get scared. But sometimes you just need to back off those people
Yeah.
because you're going to get injured.
People are a-holes. So last year, one of the funnier things that I did was actually I wasn't even in costume. We were prepping for the night. Like I was, I was kind of like getting my scares together and turning on all the stuff in the haunted hayride and stuff. And then one of the scarers comes up and he goes, "Hey, there's some kids walking around in the circus." I'm like, "What?" And it's daylight still. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "There's some kids snuck in. They're just like walking around taking pictures and stuff."
Are those the kids that we saw on Instagram taking pictures?
Yeah, same ones. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go and hide at the end. So we had this like closet at the end of the circus. So I hid inside of it. They came around to the corner and I popped out and scared the living crap out of them. And they're like, "Whoa, oh." I'm like, "You guys aren't supposed to be in here." They're like, "Oh, sorry. Get out." "Oh, all right." And they left. But I think that if Mike had been there, Mike might have like actually hurt somebody, which is probably good he wasn't.
Yeah.
You guys have any other scares? Funny stories?
Funny stories.
Mike, stop chewing your damn mic. It's in the rule book.
I'm not chewing it in it. You can't hear Andy and I, so man, you just ruined my flow. I was trying to think of something good. Cut my section out, I don't know.
Let's see. One of the things I like to do is wait outside that clown house I was talking about earlier, the one that I like to chase people inside of. Sometimes we have a chainsaw that we can use every once in a while, and I like to take that chainsaw and stand by the exit. People pop out of that door, and there I am with the chainsaw right in front of their face, and I'm pretty sure I made a few people pee their pants this past year doing that.
But yeah, the haunted house is super cool because there's all these secret passageways that you can go through. So you get one scare, then you can go through this door, and then you'll be in front of them again. And it's just, they're like, how? Like, what? Because they can't see these secret doors. There's like secret hallways, secret doors. But yeah, one time there was this old couple with their grandkids, I believe, and I scared the crap out of them. Went through this door, met them upstairs, and they were like, there's either two of them or that dude is just like a monkey. And I was like, no, there's only just one. But yeah, I did get a good scare there.
This scare that I'm going to talk about now, it was actually not even at a haunted house. Back when I was like 19 years old, I was working at Knott's Scary Farm. I was probably more like 21. But anyway, I was working at Knott's Scary Farm, and I had bought all these props because I wanted to use them in the circus, or not in the circus, in the Carnival of Carnivorous Clowns maze that I was in. And I bought this giant, like, demon-looking rat, and it was on a leash, and like it was made so you can like push it around, and it was creepy and weird, whatever. So I took it into my day job this one day because I thought, hey, this is kind of funny. I want to show some of my coworkers, and everyone's like, oh, that's gross, whatever. So then I got the grand idea to take it into the break room at my work and tie it onto the doorknob so that when the doorknob was pulled, this rat would come crawling towards the people. Well, I ended up scaring the pregnant lady, and she called out sick the next day because of it. So I didn't bring that rat back again. That was the end of the rat for me.
She probably had morning sickness.
Probably, but I felt super bad about it.
Yeah, no, she probably was scared sick.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys have any others, but the one I wanted to mention specifically last was my absolute favorite scare of the year last year, which actually I technically didn't do the scare, but it was the very last scare of the season that anybody did, and it involved Mike and my son John,
Oh,
who's
this-
17 years
This
old.
is stupid.
Oh, whatever. So we were walking out this last night of the season. I mean, it was late at night. Everybody was gone. I mean, there was like 3 cars in the parking lot, maybe. And we're walking in this pitch black parking lot, and we had gotten some free sodas, like some cases of soda. That they were like, "Well, we don't have any use for these. If you guys want to take them, go ahead and do it." So we walked out to our car, and Mike's like, "You know what? I'm gonna go grab one more case." So Mike and I had parked right next to each other, and I told my son John, I said, "Hey John, get in the back seat. Get in the back. Wait for Mike, because Mike had left his car unlocked for some reason. I don't know why." So John got in the back seat, and I drove off, but I parked like, I don't know, maybe 100 yards away, so I could still hear and see.
With the car still on, so I'm sitting seeing his car on still. Kind of confused, but did not think anyone would be in my car. Like, why would anyone be in my car? You
That
know?
also is also a wild night.
Well, anyway, so I'm sitting there watching, and Mike like gets back to his car, and he's like, takes a piss and is on his phone, and I'm like, what is this guy doing?
Are you telling people what I do in the dark?
Yeah. So finally, he walks around to his car and opens it, and I just hear, "What the?" He just yelled so loud, and it was great.
Yes, his son was in my car. You know, listen. You know, if I'm in the dark in the middle of a cornfield or a field, whatever, I'm gonna take a nice piss, let it all out, be on my phone, scroll through Instagram or whatever else I scroll through, and just enjoy my time. I go to open my door, put my stuff in, and there's this kid. Before the light turned on, he said, "You want some candy?" I thought it might have been someone else. Didn't happen to be that person, thank God. But
Yeah.
man, I have to be honest with you. That was probably scariest moment in my life this season.
It was one of the funniest moments of my life. So kind of in the same realm of scaring, we'll talk about some of the annoying things that customers or guests do, which can involve just annoying things or even being hit, assaulted, that kind of stuff. So one of the most annoying things for me that people do is point out, like you're walking through a haunted house and they go, "Oh, there's a guy right there." And the reason it's so annoying, like, I don't care, you want to give up my scare, whatever, not a big deal, but like if I had been behind them and I had paid 25, 30, 50, whatever dollars to get in this event, and you're sitting there ruining things, like, I'd be pissed. So that, if you're not a scare and you just go to these haunted houses and you do that, just stop doing it. Thanks. But that's super annoying to me.
Also, when people like touch everything they see,
Mhm.
it's also really annoying because if they break it, you most likely won't find them,
Of
or
course.
it's just
Yeah.
more of a hassle for you.
Yeah. What about the people that try to scare you?
It's usually those big dudes that try to scare you after you just scared them, which is
And it never actually
it
works.
never really works.
Yeah, that's what's funny to me is people will be like, "Raw, I got you." I'm like, "No, you actually didn't." Like, the only time that anybody's ever been semi-successful is when they grab me, and that's cheating. Like, when I'm scaring, I'm in the mode. Like, I don't know. What are you laughing at over there?
Nothing. People grab you.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. People freaking grab and punch and all kinds of stuff. I've had my junk grabbed, my butt slapped. You name it, it's been done. Flap. Yeah, well, let's not do that.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say on this topic. I got hit. It was probably back in the day when there was a clown tent in the Psychopath. And I got like drop kicked by a cowboy with like steel-toed boots on.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've kept my distance since that time.
What about people that ask you to scare their friends? They're like track you down and they're like frantic trying to get your attention. Hey, scare my friend over there in the yellow shirt. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I always like, okay, where are they? And they turn around and start leading me to them, and I just turn around and walk away.
It really depends who's asking. I mean, if it's a dad, I'm gonna be on the dad's. I'll be his best friend.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
If it's that 8-year-old with all of his 8-year-old friends, I probably won't be listening to them. But.
Yeah, because the few times that you actually go through with it and try to scare that person doesn't get scared, and it's like, I just wasted all this freaking time.
I could have been scaring someone worth my time.
Yeah, I could have made somebody piss their pants just now. Yeah, but that's super annoying. Or the girls that like fake hit on you. They're like, hey, can I have your number? Like, no.
Please.
I'm 72 years old. I don't want your number.
Yeah, I'm like, first off, it's illegal. Like, I shouldn't even be talking to you.
I mean, Eric is like 9.
That's true.
so-
Eric is young.
I can hit on those 6th grade females.
Usually, if people hit on me or they, see, oh, you're hot, that kind of stuff, I always go, ugh. Or I have a boyfriend, and that usually shuts them up pretty quick. Which is fun.
I am a clown.
What about being hit? I know Eric kind of mentioned that time he got hit last year. Anything else?
I just got drop kicked by a cowboy.
Well, that too. I got, in one of my first years when I was scaring at Not Scary Farm, I got punched in the stomach super hard. I was like standing against this wall pretending to be a mannequin. And I jumped out of this guy. This guy punched me in the stomach so hard. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. It was just a reaction. And I was just like, it's cool. And I just kind of like went back into a corner and sulked for a minute. And then I got back out there. But
I have a funny story about when I hit a scare.
mm-hmm.
Also, just note that this was not when I worked at the farm. This was when I was like 11 years old. But I was walking through the Psychopath, and there's like this giant telephone pole with this like skeleton mummy looking dude on it. And me being the big tough 11-year-old I was in my little tiny friend group of tiny people, I said, don't worry guys, I'll protect us. This guy was on a pole. I thought he was a mannequin or whatever he was, but little did I know he was real. So I walk up to this skeleton thing and I start poking it in the stomach. It's pretty fluffy, so at this point I still don't know this guy's real. I start tapping his shoulder, but at a certain point I poked him in the eyes, and I got pooped my pants when he jumped out at me and
Poked him in
started
the
screaming
eyes?
at me.
Yeah, I would have screamed at you too.
I would scream at anyone who'd do that to me. So I
I
said,
probably would have poked you in the eyes back.
I told the dude I'm sorry. I legit thought he was not real. No, just don't do that to scares.
Yeah, just if you think somebody's fake, don't poke them in the eyes, no matter what.
Mhm.
Just rule of thumb. What about people throwing? I get people throwing rocks at me all the time. That's super
That
annoying.
is interesting. This last season, I got hit with a rock in the back of the head.
I did too.
It was the first time, and I went mad.
Well, luckily the mask I wear is insanely thick silicone. So like, if you threw a boulder at the back of my head, I'd probably be fine. But please don't do that. That would hurt. But yeah, I feel it all the time. People throwing rocks at me, and usually it's those nights when there's insanely long lines of people standing everywhere, so you could never actually tell who did it. But what's funny is when people come to cause trouble, like intentionally. For me, at least, I wear those gloves that have those big like washers and metal fingertips on them, and I'm like, you know what? If you really wanted to get in a fight, I could do some damage with these. So
Just the tips.
oh, what's funny? I actually have one more story, and it was at Not Scary Farm, and it wasn't actually a customer that hit me. We had a friend who worked in a different maze, and he was dating one of my friends who worked in the Carnival of Carnivorous Clowns that I was working in, and she's like, hey, he's coming through. And I was friends with this guy too. He's like, Allie, she's like, hey, my friend's coming through, and we should duct tape him. We should all like rush him and tie him up with duct tape, which is the thing at Knott's. We'll talk about that when we have some Not Scary Farm people on this podcast. But anyway, so he comes walking through, and it was a pretty dead night, so we had time. So me and Allie and a couple other people grabbed this guy, and try to start tying him up with duct tape, and he was not having it, so he full on headbutted me right in the face, and I have a jacked up nose, and that's part of the reason for it. So that was really, really bad. Got me, had to go first aid, had to go home. My face was all swollen for days, and pretty sure I have a deviated septum because of that. So yeah, that kind of sucked.
Oh, I thought that was from natural causes.
Well, I mean, I am an ugly person, so I wouldn't be too far-fetched to just think that I have a jacked up nose because I'm an ugly person.
You're not ugly, you're a brat. I'm a hot dog. Eric's a Slim Jim.
Okay, yeah.
Scary.
All right.
Scaring pain.
So, for me, every year this gets harder and more painful. Every year I say maybe this should be my last year because it's just like it freaking hurts. Like I leave after 2 nights, and luckily we only do it 2 to 3 nights a week, where some of the other haunts do it 4, 5, 6, 7 nights a week. But anyway, I leave after 2 nights and I'm like, I can barely walk. It hurts to get into my car, hurts to get into bed, and the next morning I can barely even move. But it's so much fun. It's just like this super pain sucks, but it's super fun. And I know for me, and I titled this segment "An Old Man, a Diabetic, and a 9-Year-Old," because
I'm the 9-year-old.
But
No, I'm not the diabetic,
yeah.
so who's the 9-year-old?
Let's hear from the diabetic. Like, what kind of pain is this for you? Is it
Mikey P in the house. Yeah, I'm a type 1 diabetic scare. The best type 1 diabetic scare you'll find. A few. I haven't met another one yet, but
Yeah, you have Sonny.
oh, come on.
I'll cut that out.
Come on. We already said yeah, we said Jimmy's name too.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, yeah, so I'm a type 1 diabetic scare. As old Andy said, it gets harder for him every year, because as you get older, things hurt. What you do hurts your body. I'm like a 20-year-old living in like a 40-year-old's body. I mean, I could just tell you I've got pain everywhere, but it's hard, but at the same time, like, it's the benefit of doing it and actually being happy. And when you're hurt, you can always get back up. Unless you can't get back up, that's your own problem. But
Motivational talks with Michael Possesses.
yeah, welcome to my TED Talk, via the bottom of a nursery with a 9-year-old and a old man. But no, I just want to say, yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it hurts, but my toes are fine and not purple or broken.
For now.
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Eric? I know you play soccer. You're probably fine. You're
What
like
about
a
Pampers?
spry little 9-year-old.
Yeah, I'm just a little kid, so I don't really have much pain unless a window that someone built falls on my foot.
Hey, it was quality build.
Questionable. But yeah, I remember one day this past season, I got out to the farm to start working at about 10 o'clock, had a game at 4, and it was super hot out. It was probably 90-some degrees. Worked till about 3:30, went to Crete, Nebraska to play a soccer game. Played the soccer game, came back, and then worked more to finish some things up, and then we had our little dress rehearsal that night. So yeah, it was a busy day, but I mean, I'm like an Energizer bunny. I'd never stop.
He wears a pink bunny suit.
Yeah, that's going to be your next costume. The bunny.
What about that one costume that we were twins in?
Yeah, Scary Varner and Uncle Varner and son.
Yeah.
We should have gotten that leash. That would have been hilarious to put you in a kid leash and lead you around.
Yo, one scare just reached out to me and asked me if he can be on a leash from me this year.
What?
He
seriously?
asked me if I could put him on a leash.
Who?
No, Hayden. Was gonna say his name, but sorry, Hayden.
Whatever. Hayden's cool.
He
That's
wants
funny.
to be on a leash. I see.
This is kind of related to the same thing I put on here, talk about Monster Fuel. And when I was at Not Scary Farm, and I don't know if it's still the same now, but kind of the thing that people talked about is like, oh yeah, Monster Fuel. Let's go get some Monster Fuel because we got free soda at the break room. So what we'd do is we'd mix half Mountain Dew and half Berry Punch, which if you've never been to Not Scary Farm, they have this delicious boysenberry fruit punch, and it's pretty freaking good. But anyway, we'd mix the two of them, and people were like, that's our Monster Fuel. But anyway, that was 15 years ago. Man, I'm old. And now my Monster Fuel is more like Mountain Dew and ibuprofen. In a few years, it'll probably be Ensure and Vicodin. I don't know. And depends, because I'm going to need those soon. What about you, Mike? What's your Monster Fuel? Diet Mountain Dew?
Yes. Sorry, my diabetes thing keeps going off. But anyway, yeah, my Monster Fuel is a lot of Diet Mountain Dew, Diet Pepsi sometimes. I mean, my blood is made of 25% water and 75% Diet Coke, so not really mostly a fan of Diet Pepsi, so to say, but, you know, that's all we get to deal with when we work out at the farm. So, Monster Fuel is definitely Monster energy drinks. A lot of sugar. I like to eat brats, so it's been weird clarifying Andy as a brat. But I mean, I like to eat brats, and I'm scaring. I'm eating brats. I made best friends with the people at the brat stand this year.
There's some good food out there this year.
Oh, I know.
I'm like excited for the season to start again, just so I can get some kettle corn and chicken nuggets and
Skittles.
Skittles.
Yeah, it's my Monster Fuel, man. I was talking Monster Fuel.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, kettle corn's cool too, but Skittles.
Yeah, Skittles are the jam. And Nerds Ropes. Nerds Ropes. I love Nerds Ropes. If you're listening, please bring me Nerds Ropes next year. Because I actually had a customer come one night, because I had posted on my Instagram that I love Nerds Ropes. And one night this girl who was a follower of mine on Instagram showed up. She's like, here's a Nerds Rope. I'm like, oh, yes. It was amazing. So if you want to bring me something, bring me Nerds Ropes. Thank you. Eric, do you have a Monster Fuel?
I would say my Monster Fuel is Pepsi during the season, but I drink Mountain Dew during the day. So I would say at night it's usually Pepsi. Plus cheese fries.
Oh, those cheese fries are good.
Yeah.
So good and tasty.
Dude, I gained a lot of weight working out there. I usually lose weight in the season from scaring because it's such hard work, but I think I gained weight because I eat so much out there.
Cauliflower beans.
Also, there was a big bag of candy, and I think I ate every single Milk Dud in that bag. So good.
And tasty.
And tasty.
So I had asked for questions earlier today, and Instagram was out. There was an outage most of the day today, so I didn't get any responses, but I did have one of my friends who texted me a question. My friend Zach. He wanted to know if I have ever pooped my pants while scaring. So thanks for breaking that ice. I'll go ahead and talk on that. I don't know if I can ever talk about a specific time that's happened, but I can pretty much guarantee there's been some sharts in there.
In other words, you're old and you forget a lot.
Yeah,
I think you need, instead of Nerd Rope, please bring him diapers.
yeah, that'll work too.
Yeah, the adult ones, the big ones.
No, but there's definitely been some sharts. One time I went super early and I ate an entire funnel cake by myself. Oh man, that was a mistake. I had to go to the bathroom, use those porta potties, which I, as most Americans, do everything I can to avoid taking a dump in a porta potty, but there was no getting around it that night. It was bad.
Help! They've turned me into a clown!
Where's my pants?
Let me out!
But I don't think that I can talk about a specific time that I have pooped my pants. But yes, there has been multiple times where I've sharted. Because I'll be honest, if I have a fart, I'll do it because I think it's hilarious when people hear it because they laugh. when I'm in costume.
Just in case you're all wondering if we've ever pooped or sharted our pants. You know.
What about you guys? You guys ever pooped your pants while scared?
Sorry, I'm not.
I mean, Eric wears Pampers
That's true.
most of the time when he's scaring,
His
so...
name is Pampers.
So, I mean, yes, Eric. I'll voice for Eric. He probably has. Me, I try to make it to the porta potty. If I can't make it, I'm probably in the corn. Dude.
Do you want to try to go on live? See if Instagram will work?
Yeah.
Is it not working? It looks like it's still having issues for me.
It's still having issues.
All right, so we were going to have more questions tonight, but Instagram is still giving us problems. We were going to go live on there and ask if anybody had questions, but that's not going to happen. So if you have a question, send it to me via email or on Instagram at Scary Varner or at Roca Scary Farm, and we'll address it on the next podcast. Next segment is random questions. This is just a non-scare related question that I'm going to ask each of these guys here. First question, and you guys can both answer, but I'm going to ask Mike specifically this one. What's your favorite Disney movie?
Aladdin. I think that's a Disney movie.
Is it because of A Whole New World?
Most definitely. I'm a big fan of magic carpets and A Whole New World, and I don't know, I feel like this question's directed at me for some reason, but yeah, I mean, I love all Disney movies. I'm just not the most knowledgeable with them, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll just kind of chime in here. My favorite Disney movie is The Little Mermaid because that movie's awesome. When I was a kid, I went to see that when I was like 6 years old. No, I was probably like 8. I don't know. I remember my mom took me to see it, and I fell in love with The Little Mermaid. Like, I had a legit crush on Ariel. And that movie ended, and I turned to my mom and I said, Ariel was the best actress.
She's
and
hot.
I get teased about that to this day, like 30 years later. But yeah, that movie's rad. Disney movies are sweet.
Is Wreck-It Ralph considered a Disney movie?
Yeah, I think that's Pixar, but it's still Disney.
So yeah, I guess I'm sorry, Aladdin's out of the picture. Yeah, it's my movie.
Replaced. You know, it's also involved in Disney movies. This was right around the time when Mike and I were singing A Whole New World a couple years ago at the farm, and I was out there in the daylight. I went out scaring before it was dark again, and there was this girl that, like a regular customer walking around, and she was in her Halloween costume, and she was Belle from Beauty and the Beast. And she went into the haunted manor, and of course, I kind of knew all the like secrets, the shortcuts to pop around and scare her multiple times. So every time she'd come around a corner, I'd pop out and be like, "Bonjour!" Or like, "There goes the baker." I'd break out in song around every corner and scare her. It was pretty funny.
Are you talking about this past season?
No, this was like 3 years ago.
Oh.
Why?
Because there was a girl dressed up last season that was scaring people even though she didn't work there.
Bonjour.
Eric, do you have a favorite Disney movie?
I actually do not. I do not watch Disney movies.
Bull crap.
This kid does not have a childhood.
That's actually sad, dude. I'm actually really looking forward to my baby son getting older and watching some more Disney movies. I can't wait to take him to the movie theater because I don't have to feel like a creeper going to these kids' movies by myself because my wife won't go. Like, I go see Disney movies and cartoons. Like, I saw the Lego movie by myself a couple weeks ago.
You're a kid in like a
Dude,
old man's body.
Yeah,
You guys switched bodies, I think.
somebody's going to call the cops. They're like, there's some creeper that snuck Taco Bell into this theater, and now he's watching kids' movies by himself.
That's why.
I love Taco Bell. What is that noise? All right. The next question, and I'm going to direct this towards Eric,
Taco Bell.
but I want Mike to answer, and I'm going to answer as well. Eric, what's the nerdiest thing about you? Soccer.
Soccer is not nerdy.
Soccer.
Mike, you can go.
What's the nerdiest thing about me? Yo, I love show choir.
I'm coming back to you, Eric.
But
I think Mike likes to tap dance.
oh yeah, I broke my foot tap dancing this summer. If there's nothing
Complain
else,
about
if
it.
there's nothing else that made you laugh during this podcast, it's the fact that
You tap dance in a play.
actually plays don't have tap dancing. But thank you, you uneducated non-Disney lover. Bubbles, Pampers, whatever else you are. But yeah, I like to. Wow, what's nerdy about me?
You wear glasses. You look like Harry Potter.
You look like a Slim Jim.
Like a what?
Like a Slim Jim. I eat you for breakfast.
All right, well, I'll go since we kind of learned about Mike here. My the nerdiest thing about me is I'm a huge roller coaster nerd, and I keep track of the roller coasters I've ridden, which may not be too surprising to people, but I've been on 181 roller coasters, and I love them. And I go on a roller coaster nerd trip every year. Well, this will be the third year I've done it. And I go to an event with a whole bunch of sweaty middle-aged people that don't wear BO and have mullets and wear tie-dyed shirts and short shorts and socks with sandals and stuff.
What's your approximate ride time?
Let me finish my story, Chuckles.
Sorry.
And then, so I go to this event and I ride the crap out of roller coasters. I rode this one roller coaster 60 times over this one weekend, and it was freaking rad. Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to Santa Claus, Indiana. Yes, it's a real city, and that amusement park is rad.
It's great.
Sorry, what was your question, Mike?
What's your approximate ride time, you nerd?
What approximate ride time?
How long when you're on a roller coaster? I'm seeing if you're a true nerd. I mean, you must not be a true nerd if you don't know.
Approximate, like for a roller, like.
Yeah, how long have you been on a roller coaster all of your life?
Oh, dude, I have no idea.
So you're not a true nerd, man.
That's intense.
I mean,
See, there's nerd, there's a roller coaster nerd, and then there's roller coaster enthusiast. And I'm a roller coaster nerd, and I consider enthusiasts to be the legit super nerds, the ones that would be like, yeah, I've been on roller coasters. I have spent 18 days, 3 hours, and 23 minutes,
Man,
and 9 seconds.
if that's not what you are, I really don't want to know who a roller coaster enthusiast is.
Oh, dude, they're crazy. It's pretty entertaining, actually.
Do you know the hydraulics on this one?
I went to this roller coaster nerd event a couple years back. Well, this is like 10 years back, and they have at Knott's Berry Farm. They have this roller coaster. It's called Silver Bullet, and it's the technical name for it is an inverted roller coaster. And on the brochures they had for this event, they mentioned Silver Bullet, the suspended roller coaster. And I witnessed these roller coaster enthusiasts, not nerds, enthusiasts, literally throwing a fit. And he specifically, I'm even going to imitate him because he had a lisp and I can do it. I heard him talking to somebody else and goes, "I'm so mad that I could slap somebody." And then we decided to harass them every time we'd see them because they were park regulars. So we'd see them at the park and be like, "Silver Bullet's the best suspended roller coaster ever." They get pissed. But that's the nerdiest thing about me. Eric, have you thought of anything yet?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a nerd, but I do like cars. I like planes. Anything with engines. I'm a big engine guy. And I like to talk about engines, I guess.
Do you like plows?
I like skid loaders.
Do you like turbines?
When I was about 9 years old, I got to drive my first combine at my grandma and grandpa's farm. It's pretty fun. My parents didn't know where I was, but I was driving the combine.
How many books did you have to sit on?
Some random farmer's lap.
Oh,
Yeehaw!
Yeah, it was weird, but it was
that's
definitely
kind
fun.
of creepy.
Man,
It was a
man,
couple days
man,
after I
man.
crashed my go-kart into a tree.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
You just must be one for crashing go-karts and cars, huh?
Both hit trees.
All right. Well, that's kind of gonna be the end here. We'll wrap up. Thank you for listening. Wanted to talk about some of our future guests that we're going to have on the podcast in the future. I'm taking a trip out to California here in a few weeks, and I'm going to talk with a few people in California that I think will be pretty interesting. I have my longtime best friend Paul Bilson, who has scared at Not Scary Farm for, I don't know, something like 10 years. He's not there anymore, but he had scared there about 10 years, and we'll have some funny, scary stories from him, and we'll also talk about some of the stupid shenanigans we got in when we were in college together. We also have Mike Piro, who is a current Not Scary Farm monster. He has been there almost 15 years, and I know for sure he has some really great stories, and he's also a fellow coaster nerd. And then we have Kevin Horton, who you actually heard at the very beginning of this podcast, giving the disclaimer, the guy with the creepy voice, also the voice of the Haunted Hayride and some of the other stuff at Roca Scary Farm. He does some voiceover work. He's worked at Not Scary Farm in the past as well, and should be an interesting podcast with him. And then finally, and not finally, we have a lot of other people scheduled, but the other one I'll mention is Sarah the Snake Lady from Roca Scary Farm. So if you've been to Roca and you saw the girl walking around with the live snake, yes, it is a live snake, and she's rad. She loves snakes, and she'll have some great stories. So those are what to look forward to here. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, contact me via email at scaryvarner, and that's SCARYVARNER @gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. My Instagram and Twitter handle is at scaryvarner, just like my email. We have at Mike Potestas, and that's MikePatestas, and Eric is at Eric Howerter, ERICHOWERTER.
Or at Roca Scary Farm on Instagram.
Yes, follow at Roca Scary Farm, because we actually all kind of have access and manage that
Not
ourselves.
all, but
Oh yeah.
we
Anyway,
do follow Roca Berry Farm too.
Just follow everyone.
yeah, just follow us all. Just go on there and just all four of us, and then just click on a whole bunch of other people too, just for the heck of it.
And just say we sponsor them. Just follow them.
Last but not least, I have a blog that I've written some stuff on, lifeofascareactor.blogspot.com. So if you want to check that out, read some of my stories. I'm going to keep putting some more stuff up there, and I'll also talk a little bit about this podcast on there. And that'll do it. So thank you for listening, and until next time, we will...
Peace out.
Exactly. See you guys.